people are very upset about this scene where in the movie Lightyear, there's two these women are married and they kiss. Now, obviously, you can tell how this is a huge deal. I mean, this is the worst thing that's ever happened at Disney. Don't we miss the old days of Disney, where everything was just racist? Right? Am I right, guys? Anyway, Ben Shapiro, we're going to watch a Crowder video. Oh, but Shapiro's really been going off the handle lately. It's been bothering me. Listen, I understand that the conversation around specifically trans kids transitioning, I totally get why people are apprehensive about it. I get why people are apprehensive about that drag show, especially since there was a sign that said it's not going to look itself. I totally get that. But now we're kind of like crossing into this field where it's just outright homophobic. I mean, Ben tweets, Disney works to push a not at all secret gay agenda and seeks to add queerness to its programming, according to executive producer Latoya Ravenue. Parents should keep that in mind before deciding whether to take their kids to see Lightyear, which hits the theaters this week. Listen, dude, like, you're signal boosting a homophobic statement, and you're playing plausible deniability. All right, guys. So I'm going to throw this in the relevant position inside of this video really quick, because I should have done my due diligence on stream, and I just didn't. But we're going to do it now. All right, so I referenced this tweet here. The Disney works to push a not-so-secret gay agenda and seeks to add queerness to its programming, according to executive producer Latoya Ravenue. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Parents should keep that in mind before deciding whether to take their kids to Lightyear, which is in theaters this week. And then Shapiro moves on to say children are not adults. What may be appropriate for adults, or what may be appropriate for adults is not appropriate for children. This must be said demonstrates that our society is in a state of moral collapse. Now, the point that I make on this video is that Ben Shapiro is... two women kissing is the same as a guy and a girl kissing, unless you're homophobic. I just want you to know that. And you have every right to feel uncomfortable, but just understand that you have no logical foundation. The problem is that Latoya made this offhanded comment, and we're going to watch it. We're going to watch that this little bit. It's only like a minute long. Latoya makes this like offhanded comment, and then conservatives latch onto it. It's like, yeah, see, there's an agenda, right? Like, there's an agenda. There's like a conspiracy to do that. I mean, come on. The reality is that the reality is the conservatives, some of them, are using this clip as a way to feel justified that there's some kind of like an LGBTQ narrative that's trying to like feminize men and turn them into gay boys. Like, that's the reality. I've heard it so many times, and most of the time, because people won't explicitly say it because they know that it's dumb to say. They know that it's like really homophobic. They know that it's just like wrong. Now, I know people. Now, let's just be honest. Like, yes, there is a narrative to normalize homosexuality and make people comfortable in their ability to come out as gay. That's not the same as some kind of like deep-seated conspiracy theory to manipulate people into being gay. Those are two different things. Okay, like, there's more of there's a push to normalize gay dudes and girls. That's it. It's not, but that's not a conspiracy theory. We need to separate. We need to like not be so antagonistic and insane. Anyway, let me pop this in. Let me get this going.
It's like, I love Disney's content.
Let me turn this up.
Watching, all of the classics. They have been a huge, like, informative part of my life. But at the same time, like, I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you hear whispers. Like, I'd heard things like, oh, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little like sus when
Which makes sense. And like, I mean, it's Disney probably historically wanted to be not super confrontational about these things, but now I guess they just don't care. That's because I left. When I was there, when I was running Disney, they were like, no gays. It was a good time, guys. And then I retired. I'm so sorry.
I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard on my little pocket of, like, Proud Family Disney TVA. The showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and like our leadership over there has been so welcoming to like my like not at all secret gay agenda. And so,
okay, so as you can see, it was an offhand comment, right? To me, and I think to most normal people, even if you don't like seeing gay shit in movies or whatever, I think we could all acknowledge that what she's just saying there is that, like, I came into the company wanting to push what you'd consider non-heteronormative stuff, and they were okay with it. All right. Now, again, this guy looks real grumpy, huh? Anyway, again, all we saw is two gay moms are kissing. It might be uncomfortable, but like, really, you listen. Okay, you're allowed to have your prejudices. You're allowed to feel uncomfortable by things, even without like a logical foundation. Okay, I get you're allowed to. It's okay, but you have to understand that doesn't mean that there's some kind of like a deep-seated conspiracy narrative. Seeing two moms kiss. Listen, I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. Like, this makes me uncomfortable. I don't even know why. I can't explain why. That's the thing. Is that like we're all a victim to our prejudices. We're all going to have an instantaneous reaction. And my first reaction is like, ew, why? But then when you really think about it, it's like, well, what does this really matter? You know, you need to challenge yourself. I think a lot of you guys think that I'm just like, yeah, affirming of everything. No, this shit makes me a little uncomfortable, unjustifiably. I can't explain. There's no rationale behind it. And that's why I know. So I'm like, oh, yeah, what does this really matter? It's just two girls kiss. Like, who gives a shit? And it could have just been, they literally, if they made it a guy, I would have zero problem with it. So it's like, okay, if we replace, that's what you have to do. It's like, okay, if it was a straight couple, would I care? I would be like, no, I wouldn't. So like, logically, to try to be logically and morally consistent, like, you can't really care. Like, you can't have a fucking meltdown about it, you know? Just have a private prejudice. But like, clearly she's not referring to some kind of deep-seated conspiracy. Now, she should have spoke better, because it gives ammunition to conservatives who are speaking to a base of people who are not trying to actually question their morals or their logical or moral foundation at all. He's speaking to people who are just going to kind of believe whatever he says, and this just gives them ample fuel for the fire. But yeah, man, it was just like an offhanded comment.
So like, I feel like I felt like it was, I mean, like, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess like something must have happened in the last.
Yo, this guy, I hope this guy gets paid really well. He's like he's doing everything. He's doing the hand signs and the inflections too. Good for him.
Like they're turning it around. They're going hard. And then all that like momentum that I felt, like that sense of, I don't have to be afraid to like, let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background. Like, I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to like if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud family. But like, I just was like, no one would stop me, and
I guess your only argument to me would be like, why add so much? Like, why? Like, it would be weird to me to add such a disproportionate amount of queerness. You know what I mean? Like, if I turn a show on, and like unless they're on like some kind of Fire Island or something, Cherry Grove. The Long Island reference. Why is everybody gay? You know what I mean? But like, so far I see one gay. I mean, like, you would imagine that there wouldn't be like, yeah, everybody's just fucking gay. It's like, oh, well, that's weird. Shouldn't we have like a proportionate split? You know, a couple straights in there too. You know what I mean? But I haven't seen the specifics. But either way, yeah, man. There's nothing. I just wanted to throw this segment in there to do my due diligence. It doesn't change anything else moving forward in this video. So, children are not adults, Ben says. What may be appropriate for adults is not appropriate for children. That's that this must be said demonstrates that our society is in a state of moral collapse. Dude, they kiss. They fucking kiss. It's probably like 15 seconds, not even. But I just go like this. Why is it inappropriate for kids to see two lesbians kissing each other? Would you say it's inappropriate to see a guy and a girl smooch on the lips? The type of kissing could be inappropriate. I don't think it's appropriate for kids to watch people make out. But why is a basic show of affection fundamentally inappropriate just because they're gay? What do you think is going to happen? You think a kid's going to see this and they're going to be like, "Oh my god, I'm gay." Oh, and their minds are going to explode. If your kid sees two girls kissing and that makes them gay, guess what? Your kid was gay. Your kid was gay already. Okay? Your kid was already gay. All right? I'm sure there's a level of social conditioning to being gay, but like, this isn't the level. Oh, if anything, they're like, wow, you can do that? Hey, mom, two girls kissing. Yeah, it exists. Okay. I'd argue that most of like being gay comes from like a biological aspect in the womb. Now, that's a whole conversation to have, but oh my God. And it's crazy because like, you know, where was that vitriol? Bro, cartoons are, like somebody said in the chat, cartoons have been filled with like innuendo since the beginning of time. Yeah, of course. And it's always funny, you know? Like, who cares? Just have your kid not watch it if you're uncomfortable. But like, what's the fundamental problem here? Like, why are we melting down? It's like we hit a rubber band effect here. It's like we've gotten a little too progressive in the conversations about like transes. Like honestly, I feel like for the most part, when it comes to trans people, like trans people exist, trans kids do exist, but it's a topic that you have to handle very carefully, and because like you don't want to misdiagnose a kid. Every single trans person that's an adult says like I knew since I was like 4. Right. So clearly there is the trans kids do exist, but you have to be really careful that you don't misdiagnose 100%. Right. So we need to have that conversation about better treatment methods. And I totally get that. I also think it's totally fine to believe that you don't want to put kids through hormone blockers because like, yeah, they can make the wrong choice. I get that. The flip side is your kid might experience incredible amounts of distress associated with their gender not matching their biology. And it makes them, and especially going through male puberty is incredibly difficult to reverse. It's like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's very painful, and it's not, as you get older. So, it's a conversation to have. I get that. I understand the conversation. We've been having that, and it's been going too far to the left. And so there's been a rubber band effect. We have that, what is a woman? And I know there's areas I definitely disagree with. I think it's fair to ask those questions, and I'd love to have like a conversation about trans people. I mean, even with Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro, that probably will never happen, but it would be a great conversation. Maybe I could explain some stuff. And I get like the little bit of the conservative rebound, especially like with the kids going to a drag show. It's like fucking insane. Like the kids only drag show, especially. Like, what the fuck? I get the conversation around that, but like now we're going very far to the right again. We're going a little too far, and we're just like outward homophobia. And now it's like a problem if you see a kid if your kid sees 2 fucking adults smooching on the lips. Who gives a shit? It's fucking bizarre. It's a meltdown. Okay. It's just like it's just unjustified. It's just homophobic. There's nothing else there. Then let's see what Steven Crowder has to say.
Let's get to this too. Again, when we're talking about double standards, and it's not the hypocrisy. I've always said this. It's not double standards, because if there were no double standards, the left would have none. It's not the hypocrisy. It's that they don't believe what they tell you. Oh, okay. This is the issue. It's not that
this is Buzz Lightyear queer kids seen banned in Saudi Arabia. What's
Nancy Pelosi had a double standard that she was hypocritical with COVID. It's that she wasn't afraid of COVID when she was going into a particle vortex to get her blowout. The same thing with AOC. The same thing with Whitmer. So I want to be clear. It's not just saying, well, you're hypocritical. We're all hypocrites. Everyone here is a hypocrite. I understand that. But you can be a hypocrite and still believe in what you say and fall short of your standards. The left does not believe what they say. So
what is
Buzz Lightyear, the new film, has the gay kiss, as is required in a children's film.
Well, Disney, of course.
So now there have been several countries in the Middle East, including Saudi.
I mean, like you have a literal scene in Sleeping Beauty where a guy non-consensually kisses a girl on the lips. We've been doing inappropriate shit the whole time, but that's okay. I don't like, and listen, leave it in there. Like it's a magical story about kissing a girl so that she wakes up from a spell. But so like, I'm not saying leave it out of there. It doesn't offend me. I think with the context, it's fine. It's whatever. But like, oh, it's inappropriate for these two to kiss. Do you think it's inappropriate for a guy to kiss a girl when she's asleep and like they're never met before? You know what I mean? Like, where do you draw the line? What isn't appropriate? I mean, like, is it appropriate for you to watch Bambi's mother get shot and die? Is it appropriate for you to watch Dumbo and see a Dumbo get incredibly drunk? A fucking literal representation of a child. Like, isn't that bad for kids to watch? Isn't it bad that they have like incredibly racist scarecrows that present like racist stereotypes of black people? Like, where do we draw the line? What isn't? Why is it only inappropriate when you have a smooch from two gay girls, but everything else that I just said is not inappropriate? I'm really not following here. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me whatsoever. It seems like that's the double standard there. There's no outrage because these things are very normalized. All this seeks to do is normalize that gay girls exist. Okay? That's it.
Saudi Arabia, who've banned the release of that film Lightyear, surprise, due to the inclusion of a same-sex kiss.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that would happen because Saudi Arabia is homophobic. But what's the double standard? I mean, at the end of the day, like, I could see why the company... Listen, here's the thing. The company can't force Saudi Arabia to take the kiss. Apparently, though, if they ban the kiss, they still include the fact that 2 gay moms exist in the film. So they might have banned the kiss because it was too far, but Saudi Arabia is still consuming gay moms in a movie. So, like, I guess this would be more of an issue if they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's just make it one of them a dad. They didn't do that. So it's like, yeah, in that culture, it's too far. I disagree with it. I think that it's homophobic. I think that there's a problem with homophobia in, Saudi Arabia, obviously, if this has to be banned. But what's the hypocrisy here?
Lightyear has been banned in the Middle East over a same-sex kiss scene featuring.
Was the whole thing banned or just the scene?
Of a same-sex kiss.
Pixar's Lightyear has been banned in the Middle East over a
Oh, okay. The whole thing was banned. Okay. Well, that's still very problematic, but still, what's the point that he wants to make?
same-sex kiss scene featured in the Toy Story prequel spinoff. The Hollywood Reporter has learned that the film is banned in various Middle East countries, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates.
Okay.
The scene in question, involving the female character Hawthorne, voiced by Uzo Aduba, and her partner, was originally cut from the film, but reinstated following the uproar surrounding a statement from Pixar employees claiming that Disney had been censoring overtly gay affection, and Disney CEO Bob Chapek's handling of Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. The
Okay, so that interesting. So, okay, so Disney had made the film, and they cut that scene out to make it palatable enough for the Middle East. It seemed like the Middle East was going to accept it, but then they decided to hold their ground and re-implement the kissing scene, doing like an all or nothing, and then they banned it in the Middle East. So what's the issue here?
UAE's Media Regulatory Office
hairless.
announced June 13th that the movie, due for release June 16th, was not licensed for public screening due to its, quote, violation of the country's media content standards.
Okay, a couple things. First off, who'd have thought the country that doesn't allow women to drive by themselves might have a problem with queer kissing in children's movies? And then think of that statement.
Okay.
The employees at Pixar said that Disney was, quote, editing overtly same-sex. You said overtly. We didn't.
Well, what's wrong with the word overtly? I mean, let's define it, I guess. It just means like it's like in your face. It's like it's done to show openly. Yeah, it's overt. It's overt gay, whatever. Yeah, but that doesn't make overt isn't a bad word. What are you're pretending like the word overt has like a stigma attached to it?
Yes. You should also probably think of eliminating overtly sexual themes for any children's films.
Wait, but what are you talking about?
Think of that statement. The employees at Pixar said that Disney was, quote, editing overtly same-sex.
Same sex isn't sexualized. What?
You should also probably think of eliminating overtly sexual themes for any children's films.
But it's not a sexual thing. Kissing isn't sexual. Well, I guess it can be. But if it was a mom and a dad, nobody would give a fuck.
Be a good place to start.
Yeah.
I don't like an unnecessary sex.
I hate this, such a dishonest comparison that because it's like same-sex couples kissing, it makes it inherently sexual. Like, if you really want to dig deep into it, like, first of all, there's it's not that deep. They just don't like gay people. They don't like gay people kissing, and they don't want you to see gay people kissing. So they decide that that they're using it as an excuse. Right? That's all they're doing. They're just using it as an excuse to be like, yeah, see, this is wrong. It's sexual kissing. What about mom and dad kissing? I don't care. Right. But if you want to get deep into it, like, you can have a conversation about like lesbians being historically sexualized in like our society. I doubt it's that deep. It's more of just an excuse. It's like, well, they're same sex. The word sex exists. It might be sexualized. That's my narrative. It's a really dumb fuck perspective to have. You know, the reality is you have every right to not like gay people. That's the reality. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You can be upset if you want. You don't have to like gay people. You don't have to let your kid watch the movie. You're entitled to your prejudices. But that doesn't mean that you're right. You simply have an unjustifiable emotional experience connected to this movie, and you want to pretend that there's a logic behind it, but there's none. You just don't like gay people. Just say that. Or you just don't want to see gay people kiss because you think it's yucky. That's it. Just say that. Yeah, I think it's yucky. I think gay people are yuck. What's interesting, though, is that's how you feel, but you won't say it because you don't want to be perceived as homophobic. So maybe just take that into consideration if you don't have the balls, if you're just going to lie about something, you don't have the balls to own it, then maybe don't say it.
Sex scene in any movie. I don't like that they go to a place that doesn't have any impact on the story. And I guarantee you this gay kiss doesn't impact the story and shouldn't be in a kid's movie anyway.
I mean, unless it like sets in place like a butterfly effect where the universe just is destroyed.
I mean, again, like, then no show or movie should show straight people kissing because it has no positive impact. Who cares?
Well, shouldn't have had that gay kiss.
All of a sudden, we're all fucking screenwriters. Well, technically, this is just unnecessary. This is just an unnecessary scene in the movie that does not need to exist. What are you, fucking screenwriter now?
Cut out the Requiem-like ending where they use
Oh,
Woody.
jeez.
Woody and
Both
Lightyear.
ends.
Just pull out Woody.
So now let's
throwing money.
And again, this goes back.
No, you know what happens is that the gay moms kiss, and then later on, the black girl dies, and they're like, "See, you're dead. You died because you're gay. Fuck you." That's what happens. It's very relevant. It's very. That's why she dies, because the aliens are homophobic. I don't know if you knew that. Okay, Just so you know.
Back to the idea of standards, let's see what Chris Evans has to say, Lightyear star. And keep in mind that the Middle East is not a huge market for Disney. It's not like China.
Why didn't we see what Chris Evans had to say?
And also Chris Evans is there because why? Tim Allen was too offensive. Because keep in mind, Tim Allen endorsed John Kasich. Okay. He's the one, I knew that he existed, but now you know John Kasich's fan was Tim Allen. So this is not...
I don't know who John Kasich is.
...a MAGA ultra-right, as the left wants to label them, conservative. Tim Allen was slightly more conservative. You won't find anything wildly
Tim Allen is
offensive from Tim Allen. You'll just find him leaning more toward the right, and so he was removed and Chris Evans was put in. But now, you can never please, because appeasing crocodiles is futile. Chris Evans had some words to say about the...
Did they originally plan to have Tim Allen be the voice?
Middle East band. This is what he said. This is how...
I feel like, did they actually do that? Was Tim Allen... I'm curious. I wouldn't have gone in that direction. Allen's supposed to voice Buzz... I wouldn't have gone that direction because it's like a time for an update. I feel, was there ever a plan? Let's see. Lightyear producer explains why Tim Allen isn't voicing Buzz. This isn't the toy world. Personally, like, it would make sense from a continuity perspective to make Tim Allen the voice because he's the voice in the show Toy Story, and they would obviously, you would emulate the same voice. So it makes sense from like a continuity perspective, but this movie's like from a artistic perspective. I personally would have went with somebody new because those movies are so old. I feel like, hey, like, let's get a new voice actor potentially for, like, somebody else to play Buzz Lightyear or to like a little bit of a different appeal. Like, it makes sense to me. Doesn't feature Tim Allen, blah blah blah. Tim Allen's voice actor, blah 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 blah. Tim is the embodiment. There's really director. Let's see. Director Buzz Lightyear was a side character in the Toy Story and a little goofier and a little more of a comedic relief, he said. For Buzz to be a main character, he needed a little more gravitas, a little more vulnerability. He needed to be funny, but not in a goofy way that would undercut the drama. Yeah, okay. I mean, I just think that maybe like Tim Allen's voice is still iconic in the role, but like the role, the way they presented it was like a little dated, and they wanted to like they're just changing it. Okay, whatever. Yeah, Chris Evans is Captain America, exactly.
Soft it is. It's great that we are a part of something that's making steps forward in the social inclusion capacity, but it's frustrating that there are still places that aren't where they should be.
Yeah,
so no,
like Saudi Arabia.
Condemnation of Islam or Saudi Arabia at all. No condemnation of the ideology that would have a problem with homosexuality. And by the way, they have the right to have this problem. You know what? Sometimes I look at it and say, ISIS wasn't all wrong. Now,
there's a lot of information. Sorry, what?
A problem with homosexuality. And by the way, they have the right to have this problem. You know what? Sometimes I look at it and say, ISIS wasn't all wrong.
I'm very confused. What? I have to slow that down. What are you saying, Crowder?
Would have a problem with homosexuality, and by the way, they have the right to have this problem. You know what? Sometimes I look at it and say, ISIS wasn't all wrong. Now,
I don't even know if there's a positive, like just an epic based normal Crowder move there. That was quite a leap. Listen, I fundamentally, like, hey, why aren't you criticizing Middle Eastern countries? Okay, fair criticism. The general reason is because, like, for the most part, usually you try not to be as tense as possible. It's probably just trying to be respectable. Maybe they should have had like a little bit more of an aggressive outcalling. But the reality is if they did do that, if they did call out Islam, you probably would be criticizing them for politicizing it a little too much. There's really no area where they can win. I could see why they'd want to stay out of like global politics in this case and not exacerbate tensions, right? They made their statement. It's unfortunate that like other places aren't as progressive as it is, but you don't really want to rub salt in the wound. That's the reality. Okay, that's all that they're trying to say. I don't know what you want me to tell you. But this whole I really just don't understand what you mean. Sometimes ISIS wasn't all. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know. Was that like a dry offhand joke? Just Jesus Christ.
Oh.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah. And by the way, in Saudi Arabia, in other words, it doesn't match the intensity. When in Saudi Arabia, if you're gay, there's the death penalty. You can be flogged. Yeah. Who knows if you're going to be thrown off a rooftop. The point is, the condemnation is, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that Christians are being burned alive in cages. I know it didn't happen in Saudi Arabia. I'm just saying if the outrage matched the intensity of the offense, if you actually wanted to look at Islam, but you don't, because they, the most extreme of their ilk blow stuff up. So
it's interesting because you agree with their perspective, though. Like, it seems like you think it's overly sexualized and shouldn't be in the movie. You are siding with the Islamic perspective here, while saying that we should call them out. So it's a little weird. Like, you should be like, yeah. You agree with them. So it's interesting. You could have ISIS isn't all wrong because they hate gay people. Yeah, that's the joke. Yeah, that's what I had figured. like I said, if they politicized it, they would have been criticizing them anyway. Realistically speaking, somebody like people from America going or super like in this case, Chris Evans going super hard in on the Middle East here about how they're like homophobic could potentially generate more homophobia in the Middle East, hurting gay people there already. Like, I understand why they didn't want to talk about it.
He's had no trouble, though, when you look at the intensity in ripping into Republican leaders who are obviously more hateful than advocating the death penalty for homosexuals.
Well, this is in our country, though. You know what I mean?
To Lindsey Graham, Chris Evans said, "Hey, Smithers, remember when you said this? You know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell." Mm-hmm. What do they have on you? I can't tell if this shameful 180 is born of fear or thirst. Either way,
Wait, what?
we will always remember you as nothing more than a remora. Here he is to Republicans. Wow, hey, Republicans, are you listening to this come-to-life toilet spew complete lies about the integrity of our democratic process? Hey, hold on a second. Okay. That sounds a little...
There is somebody criticizing their own country and not really getting engaged in foreign politics. So what's your point? Okay.
A little bit more passionate than it's kind of frustrating that in Saudi Arabia they murder anyone with a lisp.
Well, technically it's a flying test.
Right.
So if you fly, you're not gay, but if you don't, then obviously you were gay.
Right, yeah, well, gay in Saudi Arabia is just a straight who got his pilot's license.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unlike, Saudi Arabia, they're not all, closeted Republicans.
Right. It's just amazing.
There's a lot, though, in the Arab countries, because I know that from even being in,
of course.
Because my friends would work at, like, Harmony House and, Sam Goody, and they'd come in and be like, yes, I have a special order for John. Right. And it was just stacks of gay porn.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about his condemnation of China? We have that, too, right?
Right,
I'm sure he's condemning the fact that they're putting Uyghurs in camps.
Yeah. So he doesn't stand up for Muslims in China, because they can't, because that's a significant market. He won't condemn Muslims in the country that, by the way, they kill gays, and not to mention their...
I mean, Disney in general doesn't do enough to criticize China for sure. I get that. I mean, that's capitalism. That's why they're doing that. And then if they did criticize them to the point where they didn't release movies over there, you'd probably have a problem with that too. It's a lot of whataboutism. It's like we can't it's like the nuance is all gone, and it's so weird because you don't even want to see gay people kissing, and yet you're still criticizing them. It's a little weird.
Their mistreatment of women, but he will condemn Christian white conservatives for saying, hey, maybe we should have a wall on our border. He just went into a tirade. I can't believe this racism. Hold on a second. You're more offended by a wall?
Yeah. And by the way,
at least we're not throwing gays into it.
Right, exactly. Where was he when Hillary Clinton was saying that the election was stolen from her in 2016?
Right.
Was he also saying, can you believe that this person is challenging the legitimacy of our elections and undermining our democracy?
It's outrage currency. He doesn't believe what he's saying, or certainly he doesn't have, you know what? He doesn't have the balls that Christina Aguilera has to actually stand up for what it is that he's saying.
She does have bigger balls.
When faced with actual adversity of thought.
Well, okay. Then another solid banger from Crowder. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.